Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you are well, safe, washed your hands before you listen to this. I don't know, maybe. Previously on, let's see, what's it called? The Secret of the Hidden Scrolls. Peter and Mary had gotten a hold of a scroll, and the seal broke, and all of a sudden everything went dark. And they end up in water. And they also meet this guy. Well, I don't know if he's a guy. He's an angel, and he has wings, and his name's Michael. So let's continue the story. This next chapter is a mighty friend. "You could have drowned!" shouted Mary. She sounded mad, but Peter could tell by the look on her face that she was glad he was safe. Peter shivered and held up the scroll. "Look! It stayed dry." "That was brave," said Michael. "Not very smart, but brave." "Well, thanks for rescuing us," said Peter. "Well, you can thank God for that," said Michael. "How did God know that we needed help?" asked Mary. "God knows everything," said Michael. "Besides, you are the only people right now, so I do not have much going on yet." Mary tilted her head at him. "Who are you again?" "I am Michael, an angel of God." Michael stood tall and spread his mighty wings. "I am the head of God's angel army, and I have been sent to protect you." Here's a picture of what the author thinks Michael might have looked like. And you see Peter and Mary and Hank the dog in the boat. I imagine I would be pretty amazed and even scared a little if all of a sudden Michael, the angel of God, is sitting next to me and talking to me. How about you? "I have been sent to protect you." "What are you protecting us from?" asked Peter. "I am here to protect you from Satan, the great enemy. He is also another angel, but he rebelled against God. And you know that means he went against what God said. And so I helped kick him out of heaven." Michael held up a long sword that was as bright as the sun. "I have a feeling that he's going to try to mess things up here." "Where are we?" asked Mary. "Well, you are on Earth. You are just a little early." "What do you mean?" asked Peter. "Well, that is what you have to figure out," said Michael. "It is time to go over the rules of your adventure." Michael held up one finger. "Rule number 1. You have 7 days to solve the secret in the scroll, or you will be stuck here." Stop right there," said Peter. "What do you mean by stuck here?" "You will not be able to go home. You will be stuck here forever." Whoa, that would scare me. "You mean we will never be able to see our family or friends?" asked Mary. "That is right." Michael did not smile. He was very, very serious. "You know, that seems a little extreme." Peter felt his stomach rumble. He didn't know if it was from fear or hunger. Well, I know the difference. When I'm afraid, my stomach feels like it's got elephants stampeding. When I'm hungry, it's the elephant's trumpet sound that's making my stomach rumble. I know the difference between fear and hunger. "I do not make the rules," said Michael. "Just solve the secret in the scroll and you can go home." "Huh, easy for you to say," said Peter. "What's the next rule?" asked Mary. Michael held up 2 fingers. "Rule number 2, you cannot tell anyone where you are from or that you are from the future." "Who are we going to tell?" Peter asked. "There's no one else here." "That is true," said Michael. "At least there's no one else yet." Mary leaned forward. "Are there any more rules?" Michael held up 3 fingers. "Rule number 3, you cannot try to change the past. Now let us take a look at the scroll." Peter took out the scroll and unrolled it. The scroll had strange letters and symbols, and Peter turned it sideways and upside down and backwards, but he could not read it. Mary grabbed it out of Peter's hand. "Let me try." She squinted and studied the scroll, and she could not read it either. The scroll is written in Hebrew. Michael said. You have 7 days to translate it. How are we supposed to do that? Asked Mary. I know a little Latin and Chinese, but I do not know any Hebrew. Peter rolled his eyes. How could she not know Hebrew? She knew everything else. You will have to pay attention, said Michael. There will be clues for you along the way. Just be careful. You cannot trust everyone or everything you will hear. Well, how will we know what to believe? Asked Mary. Trust God and remember that you have been what you have been taught. It has been a long day, and now it is time for you to go to sleep. You have a hard journey ahead. Michael spread his mighty wings and shot into the sky like a lightning bolt. They were alone again, floating in a small boat in the middle of nothing but water. And suddenly it was dark again, like someone turned out a giant light. Hank was already snoring, and Mary's eyelids were at half-mast, so half-mast means half-closed. Peter was too wound up, but the darkness and the rocking boat finally lulled him to sleep. The next morning, Peter was jolted awake by the bright light again. Let the water under the sky come together, and let there be dry ground, said a big voice across the water. The water bubbled and swirled. The boat began spinning. Peter held the scroll with both hands, and Mary held on tightly to the side of the boat. When the spinning stopped, the boat sat on dry ground. Hank and Peter jumped out of the boat and rolled around on the sand. Mary jumped out and kissed the ground. Now, I wonder why she would kiss the ground. Maybe it's because she was glad she was safe and on ground? This is just like the beach, said Mary. The ocean is that way and the sand this way. I am starving, said Peter. I have not had anything to eat in 3 days. Me too, said Mary. That bowl of soup wore off about 2 days ago. Well, let's go this way and look for food, said Peter. They walked and walked and walked and walked, but found nothing besides more sand. Peter was so hungry that he picked up a pile of sand and thought about eating it. Ew! How long have we been walking? Asked Mary. I don't know, said Peter. Hank, what time is it? Remember Hank, the dog, can tell time? Hank looked high into the sky. He looked up and down and east and west and north and south, but he only whined and looked at Peter with his ears raised high. That's strange, said Peter. Where's the sun? I don't know, said Mary. Well, where's the light coming from? Well, from God, of course, or maybe we just can't see the sun. It is good, said the big voice across the sand. How can it be good when we're so hungry? Asked Peter. Let the earth grow plants and trees and fruits and vegetables, said the big voice. Grass began springing up. Trees sprouted from the ground. Fruit filled the trees, and splashes of bright colors filled the earth. Peter grabbed a bunch of bananas from a tree and ate and ate and ate until he couldn't eat another bite. Mary picked apples and oranges, broccoli, and Hank dug up carrots and potatoes and ate them. And Peter let out a huge burp. It is good, said the big voice across the green earth. Yeah, it is. Peter rubbed his full belly and forgot all about the scroll. Let there be lights in the sky to separate day from night, and let them show days and seasons and years, said the big voice across the green and blue earth. Peter awoke when he heard the big voice. The bright sun hurt his eyes. I wish I had brought sunglasses, said Peter. I wish I had brought sunscreen, said Mary. The UV rays are not good for my skin. Hank looked high into the sky and barked 7 times, so you know what time that meant. Hank can tell time again. It must be 7 o'clock in the morning, said Peter. It's so nice to see the sun again, said Mary. Let's go down to the beach so I can work on my tan, said Peter. We don't have time for that right now, Mary pointed. We need to figure out what the scroll says. It's already day 4, and we only have 3 days left, or we will be stuck here forever. Peter unrolled the scroll. How do we start? I'm not sure, said Mary. Michael said we need to look around for clues. But it only has 3 words. It can't be that hard, said Peter. Well, maybe if you hold it up to the sun, we'll be able to see the words in English, said Mary. Peter held the scroll up in front of the sun, and they stared and they squinted, waiting for this secret message to appear. Do you see anything? Asked Peter. No, said Mary. Me neither. For once, Peter wished Mary was even smarter than she was. Ruff! Barked Hank. Do you see something, Hank? Asked Peter. Hank barked again and took off running. Peter ran after him with Mary right behind. Hank was too fast for Peter to keep up, but he kept chasing, and when he couldn't see Hank anymore, he followed his barks. Peter ran over the top of the hill and found Hank walking toward them with Michael. And the angel was eating an apple. This is delicious, said Michael. You like apples? Asked Peter. Is that what you call them? Yes, said Mary, because remember, they're way back at the beginning of Earth, and they did not know an apple was called an apple. Is that what you call them? Yes, said Mary. Well then, yes, I like apples, said Michael. I have never had one before. Well, is the apple a clue? Peter asked. No, it's a fruit, said Michael. Peter shook his head. No, I was wondering if it was a clue to help us solve the scroll. I knew what you meant, Michael laughed. I was joking with you. Jokes were created long before the earth. I don't know about that, but maybe. Very funny. But Mary didn't laugh or smile. We need help with the scroll. We don't have any of the words translated, and we're running out of time. Well, I'm here to help, said Michael. Look for a clue in the sky. Well, what kind of clue? Asked Mary. Well, the first word of the scroll will be declared to you as the sky turns dark tonight. Remember what I said. The first word of the scroll will be declared to you. Well, how will we recognize the clue? Asked Peter. Remember what you have learned and look to the sky. Then Michael spread his wings and flew away. Peter, Mary, and Hank spent the day enjoying the sun and all the delicious fruits and vegetables. Notice there were no candy bars or potato chips. They ran and played and waited for nightfall and for the first clue to be revealed. Finally, Hank looked high in the sky and barked 7 times. It's 7 o'clock, said Peter. It's time for it to start getting dark. Well, let's sit down and watch, said Mary. They sat quietly on the beach and watched the sky turn pink as the sun slowly disappeared. We just watched the first sunset, said Mary. What do you mean? Asked Peter. We've seen sunsets at the beach before. No, I mean we watched the very first sunset ever. Peter looked up again. Look at all the stars. I have never seen so many. It's like they go on forever, and the moon is shining so bright. Well, actually, the moon is not shining, said Mary. It's just reflecting the light from the sun. Peter rolled his eyes for about the 50th time. He already knew that. I don't see any clues yet. Keep looking, said Mary. What did Michael say? He said the first word of the scroll would be declared. Peter thought for a second. It seems strange that he said the word declared so loudly. Well, it does remind me of a Bible verse we learned, said Mary. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky shows the work of his hand. Peter shook his head. Mary even had the Bible memorized. So, are you saying that the stars and moon are showing us how amazing God is? Maybe that's the clue, said Mary. Is the first word God? The scroll shook in Peter's hand. He unrolled it. The first word on the scroll started glowing. The letters twisted and turned and changed into the word God. We solved the first word! Mary did a happy dance. Well, you did. Peter didn't dance. One down and 2 words to go. It is good, said the big voice through the star-filled sky. Yes, it is. Peter stared into the starry night and once again drifted off to sleep. Next time on The Secret of the Scrolls, swimming with dolphins. I've always wanted to do that. I sure wish I could today because it's so warm out. You all have a wonderful day and a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.